Hi everyone, my name is Luca Macchetti and I'm part of the Dynamics 365 product marketing team. And today I'm going to walk you through the Dynamics 365 perspective on digital selling. The world of digital selling is a world of data. There is more of it than ever before. In a continually expanding array of forms and locations, a world where every company is becoming a data company. A world where the route to future success is increasingly dependent on effectively gathering, managing, and analyzing your data to reveal insights that you will use to make smarter decisions. I would love this session to be your window into the ways Dynamics 365 can help organizations tackle the challenges of this new world to help their companies and their customers thrive. So let's take a look. First of all, what is the Dynamics 365 perspective on digital selling? So to activate digital selling means to empower organizations to provide an end-to-end digital buying experience across every stage of the customer's journey, making it quick for customers to evaluate and buy without face-to-face engagements. So digital selling from Dynamics 365 enables organizations to be digital first, insights driven, aligned, and agile. So let's now take a deeper look. So we have seen the Dynamics 365 perspective on digital selling. Let's now look at what are the real challenges in the real world. Organizations face critical challenges in retooling for an increasingly digital buying journey. The root of problems is the fragmented and ever-growing customer data. With all of the touch points that customers have with an organization, data is everywhere. In sales, in marketing, in service applications just like Dynamics 365, in social networks like LinkedIn, and productivity, and also in email systems and custom applications. When data is trapped, organizations cannot see a complete view of customers and relationships. They cannot even make decisions based on all available information, and they cannot deliver consistent buying experiences across digital and physical channels. For organizations to be successful, they need to unify customer data to gain a holistic view of each customer. At the center of our solution, the digital feedback loop, an adaptive, intelligent system pre-built and ready to go that actively monitors a lot of data signals and distills them into actionable insights to help the sales and marketing teams to be more customer-centric in every interaction, no matter the channel. Let's now switch gears and let's try to be very practical. We will first look at a B2C scenario. So let's now quickly set the stage for our B2C scenario, where we're going to see how Dynamics 365 can help in the real world. So what is the story here? Contoso is a leading manufacturer of coffee machines, and they have just launched their new sustainable, eco-friendly B2C model. So what is the challenge? So they really need to make sure that the new marketing campaign to launch the new model can successfully reach the right target, but data is siloed in disparate locations, so they don't know how to achieve this goal. But this is still a very general approach to the challenge. So let's try to be now more precise. And what we see here goes in that direction. What we see here is how this very general challenge that Contoso is facing right now is applying differently to each stage of the digital selling journey. The data analysts, for example, at Contoso, they have to deal with data siloed in disparate locations. The marketing organizations on the other side, they need to deliver the right message to the right customer using the right channels. And the consumers, the customers, they hate browsing disorganized websites. And they really need to immediately understand which product will best fit for their needs. And the e-commerce manager, at the same time, really needs to create an engaging, intelligent digital storefront. So what are we going to see in a moment is how, thanks to Dynamics 365, organizations can solve each specific issue in each stage of this digital selling journey. we will see which features will allow Contoso in the real world to move from raw data to really actionable insights. So let's take a look. So here in Dynamics 365 Customer Insights, we can really see how Dynamics 365 can help organizations standardize customer data from all sources to get a holistic view of customers. On this homepage, a data analyst at Contoso Coffee can see a comprehensive view of customers across channels, including the number of members in different customer segments and measures such as the average churn score and total online spend. Segments, measures, enrichments, everything creates this unique representation of customer information. And to help improve Contoso's coffee marketing communication and sell more of their new eco-friendly coffee machines to customers, the data analyst can easily ingest more customer data into the system. Here, thanks to this defined set of connectors, the data analyst is able to ingest data sources coming from disparate locations, online and on-premise data sources. Data analysts here in the enrichment view can easily add enrichments such as customers' brand preferences and interests. Enrichments are going to supplement customer data with data from external sources, including Microsoft and other partners. For example, data analysts can use data from Microsoft Graph to see customers' likely brand preferences. And as you can see here, a data analyst can define multiple brands, choose an industry, and map the fields in order to make sure that enrichment is really contributing to create this unique representation of customer information. Here, Dynamics 365 Customer Insights enables data analysts to easily build customer segments using ingested customer data. These segments can really unlock deeper insights. For example, the data analysts at Contoso can get insights about customers using the Fair Trade Coffee monthly subscription service. And what we can see here is that this page is showing attributes for the insights. In this example, the attribute might be gender, which differentiates the percentage of females versus male customers for a specific segment. The data analysts can select the different score to visualize the data. In addition to that, data analysts can also view another type of insights. If we click back here, and if we look on a different insights, we see a super interesting thing because this visualization is showing to the data analyst the relative size of each segment and how much the segments overlap. This is truly important to make sure that Contoso is getting this unique representation, this 360-degree view of customer information. Now, I've seen the power of data configuration and segmentation. Let's look at how this comes to life in a day-to-day business operation. What we're seeing here is how data analysts can export unified customer data across a variety of business apps and tools to create campaigns on platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Here in this example, what we're going to see is that Dynamics 365 Marketing is already set up as an export destination. And see here is how easy to set up a destination, just like Dynamics 365 Marketing, to make sure that we're able to export and to integrate all of the information around segments from here in customer insights and make them flow seamlessly to Dynamics 365 Marketing. But there is more than that, because data analysts can also activate segments segment data in live ramp to connect with over 500 platforms across digital, social, and TV ecosystems. This data can be leveraged for targeting, expressing, and personalizing ad campaigns. But again, there is more than that. Additionally, the Microsoft Teams add-in empowers data analysts to quickly access specific customer details with the help of a bot. What we see here right inside Teams, in this example, the data analyst can search for customer profile, Claudia in this case, without signing into Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. So let's now move from Dynamics 365 Customer Insights to Dynamics 365 Marketing. So here we're going to see how the marketing organizations, thanks to Dynamics 365 Marketing, can really visualize and automate the journey that customers are going to take on their way to making a purchase of these coffee machines. By adding, arranging, and configuring the tiles that represent each step in the journey, marketing managers at Contoso can build a campaign pipeline. In this example that we're seeing here, the marketing manager at Contoso is launching this multi-channel awareness campaign to make sure that the launch of the new eco-friendly coffee machine model is truly a success. The marketing manager is able to, among other things, to create this email template to invite leads to a webinar on Contoso Coffee's new eco-friendly machines. As you see here, you can easily create this new marketing email. And what's more here, what's most important here, is that he's also able to set up a second version of this email to perform this A/B testing and maximize the effectiveness of this campaign. This is super important because thanks to the result of this A/B testing, he will be able to have additional data to be super precise when it comes to targeting the right channel and the right customer for this campaign. The marketing manager at Contoso is able to identify a target audience for the new product from Contoso's Coffee's existing customer base. What we see here is that leveraging customer insights, the marketing manager is able to segment prospects based on their propensity to churn. The segment that we see here is coming from marketing insights. So we're leveraging the segment that has been generated in customer insights and integrated seamlessly into Dynamics 365 Marketing. The marketing manager at Contoso can easily engage the target audience across various channels by orchestrating customer journey in Dynamics 365 Marketing. As part of this customer journey, interested prospects who attended the webinar are automatically sent a survey. So as we see here, as part of this customer journey, the marketing manager is able to create this journey and publish this journey using customer voice. As you see here, the survey captures the prospect feedback around events. We can take a look at the survey here to make sure, and we can edit the survey to make sure that we give the best possible experience to our customers. And again, the marketing manager is able to understand the responses and is able to get actionable insights here. Thanks to the AI engine, the marketing manager is able to get super specific insights, just like people considering the complete experience. How likely are they to recommend the future events? They're really able to understand the result of the service in a super specific way. Now let's move from Dynamics 365 Customer Insights to the e-commerce website built with Dynamics 365 e-commerce. So after attending the webinar, the customer received an email with personalized offer for a 15% discount if she buys the new eco-friendly coffee machine and subscribes to the Fair Trade Coffee subscription. So she decides to browse the product catalog on the Contoso Coffee website, which has personalized content for the customer. As she scrolls down the page to view Contoso's coffee products, she can see specific product recommendations based on the purchase trends of other customers in both online as well as brick and mortar stores. This experience has been built with Dynamics 365 Commerce, and as you can see, is tailored to fit the needs of the customer. The customer can move forward and can understand which is the best product that she wants. She selects the Smart Brew 300. She picks up the color she likes the most. She adds the colors to the bag. And right now, she's able to pick up the product in store. So you see here, the website automatically suggests pickup locations based on Claudia's preferred store location as well as real-time inventory availability. Claudia chooses the closest store location and then proceeds to checkout. So when Claudia arrives to pick up her new coffee maker, the store manager signs into the store POS system to support her with her purchase. The store manager, as you see here, can access customer's profile right from here. She can quickly see the timeline of Claudia's activities and important information just like loyalty card information, recent purchases, and other rich informations to make sure that she will be able to deliver the best customer experience while Claudia is in the store. So what we have just seen is an amazing way on how Dynamics 365 can help really make sure that Activate digital selling scenario comes to life in a B2C world. Let's now switch gears and let's now focus on our B2B scenario. The story again, Contoso is still a leading manufacturer of coffee machines, and they have just launched a new line of professional intelligent coffee machines. This new model makes it possible to monitor the coffee consumption of every machine and understand customer behaviors and habits. The challenge again here, Contoso is experiencing a steep decline in revenue and brand loyalty. But again, this is a very general approach. Let's try one more time to be more precise. We will try now to focus on the challenges that marketing organizations in a B2B world is facing in understanding how likely a lead is to buy. They need to make sure that the leads that they are generating are being followed up promptly and moving through the funnel consistently. On the other hand, we will see how the sales organization, they will need to tailor the content and interactions with customers based on what's resonating most with the customers. And also, they need a way to learn from the entire process and find a way to get better the next time. Again, what we're now going to see in a moment is how, thanks to Dynamics 365, organizations can solve each specific issue in each stage of this B2B digital selling journey. So let's take a look. Let's now see how Dynamics 365 marketing really enables marketing manager to generate and track high quality leads in a timely manner at scale. In Dynamics 365 marketing, event attendees are captured as leads, just like Alex Baker in this example. Behavioral scoring models enable marketing managers to nurture leads to be marketing qualified for campaigns, as you see here. So every time the lead responds to a marketing activity, the score is incremented by a specific number of points. The marketing manager can easily see Alex's lead score here. The model also established a schedule of grades that characterize ranges of score in plain language, such as hot, warm, and cold. So the marketing manager can also navigate to the Insights tab, as we see here, to make sure that he's delivering the right message to the lead, to Alex in this case. A detailed interactions timeline shows all marketing activities that the lead has participated in. Additionally, the lead progress over time graph shows how the lead score for each applicable campaign model has changed over time. So now let's move on from Dynamics 365 marketing to sales. Can easily track relationship health and tailor interaction with customers to nurture relationship and win deals. As we see here, the combination of the relationship health state and health trend gives all of the information to the seller to understand what is the health state of this relationship. Is it fair, good, is poor? And at the same time, what is the trend? So the seller is really able to understand all the details and understand where to focus its efforts. What we see here in this summary page is displayed all of the general details about the opportunity and the timeline of events, predictive opportunity scoring, and more. More important here, under notification, what we see here, an insight card is indicating that the key contact for this customer left the company. So the seller now really needs to build a relationship with the new contact. And how is the seller able to track this relationship? As we see here under relationship analytics, seller is always able to understand what is the status in details of the relationship with specific customers, all of the interaction, emails, meeting, phone calls, everything that will give to the seller the understanding of where they are with the interaction and the specific relationship with the customer. So what we see here is that we need to understand a bit more about this customer. And the reason is that the seller has just received that insights card that indicates that a key contact for the customer left the company. So thanks to Dynamics 365 Sales, to maximize its chances to win the deal and increase its forecast accuracy, it's crucial for the seller to improve in the relationship with the right contact. So the seller can navigate to the company's org chart, and using this live org chart, he can learn more about the new person who has taken over the role. Here in the contact details pane, he can see how to reach out to the contact. But there is more than that. Because if we go back here, from this customer's account page, the seller can navigate to Alex's contact record to view even more ways to connect with her. Right from here, David can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to message Alex. Personalized talking points are provided, as we see here, to help him break the ice with the lead, with the contact. He can also identify a shared connection who can provide a warm introduction using the who knows whom feature. He can really understand what is the list of colleagues who know Alex. Using this feature, seller can see that his colleague Alan Steiner here has a strong connection with this new contact. So this is actionable insights, and thanks to integration with Microsoft Teams, seller can reach out to his colleagues via Teams for an introduction to Alex and help him with the current opportunity. Later, after reaching out to the new contact at Contoso Coffee, the seller can revise his sales forecast with updated information about the opportunity. He can really select his name to display his underlying opportunities and can edit any of the attributes in the table. The opportunities can also be shown in a Kanban view. All the underlying opportunities are displayed as cards in their respective forecast categories. Let's now switch gears and let's try to see how Dynamics 365 Sales enables velocity selling. What do we mean by that? As you see here in the Dynamics 365 Sales Hub, Jeremy, a seller at Contoso Coffee, can view his work list to see his current leads and opportunities. He can identify the next best customer to reach just by sorting the list by priority score. You can see that his best lead right now is Alex Baker, and he can drill down into his lead to get more information. What's super important here is that in this up next section, I predefined this series of touch points, including emails, phone calls, and tasks, are going to guide Jeremy to connect with his contacts according to the sales strategy. Contextual insights, as we see here, are going to prepare Jeremy for a call with Alex. He has all of the relevant information about the customer and the sales process in just one place. So Jeremy can really call the customers right from here, and he can also conveniently take notes during the call. Let's now see how Dynamics 365 Sales Insights can really enable proactive management by providing sales manager with insights on their team's performance and allowing them to share these insights with their team. So sales manager can really get a more realistic and accurate description of how their team is performing with AI-driven forecasts that supplement seller-generated forecasts using signals from current sales pipeline and historical performance. As you see here, the flow chart is providing a visual representation of how the forecast is changing between two moments in time. And at the same time, the trend chart is showing how the forecast amount is trending over time, comparing it against the period and prediction and quota. But again, there is more than that. Because thanks to the integration with Power BI, sales manager can get insights about what is influencing their team's opportunity win-loss ratio. In this example, the sales manager Contoso can see the key influences on revenue won by his team. He's interested in learning what is driving revenue for the new intelligent coffee machine model. And what he can see is that the likelihood of winning a deal is much higher when sellers bundle the new intelligent coffee machine with the Coffee Cloud subscription. This is a great actionable insight that Contoso can take into consideration to get even better in selling process. Let's now quickly see how, thanks to Dynamics 365 Sales Insight Assistant, we can really help sellers to track their daily actions and communicating through a collection of actionable cards known as insight cards. In this example that we see here, the sales manager is using an insight card to communicate information to his team about how to best propose the Coffee Cloud subscription. Drill down and into the specific insights card that provide details to sellers to propose the Coffee Cloud subscription, which again, what we have seen in the integration with Power BI a moment ago is the best way to increase the likelihood of winning a deal. So really the sales manager here with this, he wants to make sure that all of his sellers are able to propose this Coffee Cloud subscription. But it's what's more than that, that in Power Automate, sales manager can easily create customer insights card for their team. They can use events and conditions to trigger suggestions and push informations into the seller's workflow. Sales manager can also use timed sequences of activities to optimize the sales cadence of their team. In this case, sales manager can create an action to automatically send an introductory email to attendees who left details at a conference booth. So in these two demos, we have seen a few essential business functions and components for sales, for marketing and commerce. But creating a seamlessly integrated approach to marketing, sales, and commerce is really easier said than done. There is a vast array of business functions that you need to think about when you are going to enable your organization. Dynamics 365 supports digital selling by providing key tools and services to transform companies' business functions and processes that best meet their business requirements. So what's next? So there is a tons of great content available. As you can see here, learn, connect, and explore. And I really hope you have enjoyed this session. And please make sure you fill in the evaluation form. So thank you very much for now, and ciao.